Part of my deconstruction was realizing that Satan never lies in the Bible, but God does all the time. Now, before you freak out, let me show you some receipts. Let's start with Eden. Satan tells Eve that you will not surely die the day you eat of this fruit. God says you will die on that day. Now, guess what happens? Adam and Eve lived for hundreds of years. Satan told the truth in that story. God certainly did not. Then Satan says your eyes will be opened and you'll know good from evil. And God literally confirms it afterwards. Again, Satan was right, not God. Let's look at Job. Satan says that Job is only faithful because he's blessed. God removes all the blessings, and Job collapses emotionally. He curses the day that he was born. He questions God nonstop. That's not Satan lying. That's the whole plot of the story. Next, look at the temptation of Jesus. Satan quotes scripture accurately. Jesus never corrects him, and the Bible itself says Satan controls the kingdoms he offers. Still, no lie. So when Christians say that Satan is deceiving the world, I always ask them, show me where he lies, because in the Bible, he never does.
This video right here absolutely crushed my heart. It broke it into a million pieces because here you see a man that is deceived. And not only is he deceived, but he is deceiving others. And the cherry on top is that there are over 550,000 people that like that video. The amount of people that are listening to a man that is being used as a vessel and a instrument, not from God, but from the devil. And what's even more sad about this is that these things are so detestable, so easily able to be proven wrong. It's silly. You see, starting off with this first statement, in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, they had the choice to live in absolute obedience to the Father, but because of the fall of man, that brought forth sin, which brought forth death, which brings forth what? Limited days. Which means that you and I, all the way back to Adam and Eve, our days are limited when they could have been eternal, which comes to show God was right. That not only was he right, but he was truthful. And then you get into his second point, and he is pointing out that Satan is telling them that they will certainly not die, but they will be all-knowing of good and evil. And that right there is deceitfulness. And the reason why it's deceitfulness is because he did not include, but he ignored the consequences in this. And do you know what? I actually love when he says that God confirmed this, because he did. He pointed out afterward the very fact that there are now consequences for living in disobedience to what God had intended. And then from there, they started to play the blame game. They started to shift the blame. But this comes to show that the center of sin is now our nature. And this proves that God was right and Satan was deceitful, a liar. The same deceit is carried on in the book of Job. Satan is telling God, stretch out your hand and take everything from him, and surely he will curse you to your face. And so God does so. But he doesn't give Satan permission to kill him. Job, he's just proving your point wrong, because never once does he curse God. As a matter of fact, his wife even told him to curse God, and he didn't. And I love this verse so much. It's my favorite verse. Job chapter 1, verses 21. The Lord has given, the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Does that sound like cursing to you? It doesn't to me. Sure, he may have cursed the day of his birth, but he never once cursed God. That is one thing that he did not do. And as for Jesus, he was on a 40-day fast because he was getting prepared for the crucifixion of dying on that cross. And what does Satan do? His first temptation, and by the way, I want to make this very clear, that Jesus, he never once committed a sin. He never once fell into temptation, though he was tempted. He never once did that. He is a perfect and sinless man, and the only one that is capable of dying for you and I so that way we could be saved. With that being said, Satan, he goes and he tempts Jesus, first off, with the lust of flesh. And in the second one, he is quoting scripture, but the funny thing is that he's misquoting it because he leaves out a little part. You see, in Psalms chapter 91, verses 11 through 12, to keep you in all of your ways. And he misquoted scripture. And why did he do that? He did it to steer Jesus away from his purpose of dying for you and I. But God had other plans. And finally, this is the last temptation. Satan goes and tells Jesus that he can possess all of this land, all of this kingdom, and that these people will praise you and worship you if you bow down to me. And you want to know what Jesus said? He didn't just say, but he rebuked. Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only. And what did the devil do? He left him. In the end, it comes to show that Jesus is the way, that he is the truth, that he is the life. And it only points to Satan as the deceiver who's come here to kill, steal, and destroy. God bless.